Alister Jack has ruled out Westminster under the Conservatives, allowing Holyrood to have the power to hold referendums, saying this would end up in a series of neverendums on independence that would damage Scotland. In a fractious Scottish questions in the Commons, the Scottish Secretary was bombarded with questions on indy 2 from the SNP benches. When he took 5 questions together on the issue of the Scottish Government's publication, Scotland's Right to Choose, Mr Jack quipped to Tory laughter, "There's no independence of thought in the questions." First up, Chris Law, the MP for Dundee West, mocked the Secretary of State, saying he had told Scottish voters repeatedly in the election campaign about how a vote for the Tories would be a vote to stop another independence referendum, and noted how that went well, given the governing party had lost half their Scottish seats and had barely a rump of MPs. Stressing how the SNP had won 80% of Scottish seats in the December election, Mr Law insisted, to hears from his colleagues, that Scottish voters had, by doing so, expressed their democratic will to choose their own future. Mr Jack emphasised how 45% of Scots voted for the SNP in the election and the same proportion had voted for independence in 2014. To more barracking from the SNP benches, he declared, "The numbers simply have not changed." Back in 2014, the independence referendum came on the back of something called the Edinburgh Agreement, which was signed by Alex Salmond and Nicola Sturgeon, the then deputy leader, and in the agreement it said both parties would respect the outcome of the referendum, and that hasn't happened. The SNP's Amy Callaghan, the new MP for East Dunbartonshire, accused the government of a blinding contradiction. It claimed to have a mandate to implement Brexit on the back of a 43% share of the vote, but that the Scottish government did not have one to hold a second referendum on the back of a 45% share. Mr Jack replied, "It was a referendum 3 years ago. We are speaking for the majority of Scots. We are absolutely respecting that decision, whereas the SNP are not respecting it and want to tear up the UK." Nationalist MP Neil Gray, who represents Adrian Shotts, claimed Mr Jack's performance had demonstrated how untenable the government's position was on indy 2, repeating the 43%/45% argument. To encouragement from colleagues, he asked, what is his democratic case for denying the people of Scotland their democratic right to choose? Mr Jack, who noted how Ms Sturgeon's letter to Boris Johnson of December 19 would be replied to in due course, told MPs the FM had asked for the right to set referendums in the future. "We are very clear about this," he insisted. "Constitutional matters are reserved." For more on this story, visit the news article link.